All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're diving into a visual documentation of a system called market DNA. We're going to walk through an entire market cycle for the US100 index, step by step, all through its unique geometric lens. So let's get right into it. So what exactly is market DNA? Well, at its core, it's a proprietary method that analyzes markets using pure geometry. What makes it so different is what it leaves out. There are no technical indicators here, no fundamental analysis. Our goal today is simply document how this system operates in practice. Okay, let's set the stage for the specific cycle we're examining. The asset is the US100 index, and the starting date for our documentation is November 21st, 2025. According to the system, this is the official start of what it calls Phase 1. So Phase 1 is all about the initial setup. This is the point where the system identifies a potential entry. And just as importantly, it establishes all the risk parameters that are going to govern the entire cycle. And here we go. This is the first key moment on the chart. The system officially kicks off Phase 1 right as the price hits that primary entry point. That's level M at 24,399. But notice, there's also a secondary entry level that's defined, P of C, down at 23,719. This gives the model two distinct points to potentially build a position from. Now let's look at the core parameters that basically define this cycle's geometric map. First, the trapezoid time duration sets a 54-day window for this whole thing to play out. Then you have the third triangle domain and the risk coefficient. These are key inputs that not only help define the geometric structure you see, but they're also used to calculate the risk. You could say this is the DNA for the specific market setup. So, just to make that entry strategy crystal clear, we have the main primary entry at M, and then we have a secondary backup entry at P of C. This layered approach is how the model adapts. It's designed to work whether the price reverses right after that first touch, or if it decides to dip a little lower before turning around. Okay, let's translate this into a practical risk plan. Let's imagine a hypothetical portfolio of $100,000, and let's say the investor sets a maximum drawdown of 5%. With those inputs, the system gets to work. Using a blended average entry price, it projects a potential low point. All of this math leads to one crucial output, a very precise trade size of 0.07 for each of those entries. The whole point is to keep the potential risk right within that predefined limit. So you might be asking, how does it land on that very specific trade size? Well, here's the exact recipe the system follows. Both trade sizes are calculated using the hypothetical capital, the investor's maximum allowed drawdown, the third triangle domain percentage, the risk coefficient, and the contract size. All right, with the entry points and the risk management all locked in, the system then maps out the potential upside. This next piece of Phase 1 lays out the specific price targets, and these targets are generated directly from that initial geometric structure we saw. This geometric map creates three very distinct targets. Think of them as steps. Target 1 is the mirror line, which acts as an initial profit-taking level. Target 2 is a key point in the structure, that apex labeled N. And finally, Target 3 represents the very top of the trapezoid. Hitting that signal target means the cycle is considered complete, and it signals a full exit. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Those two entry points lead to two different potential profit scenarios. In Scenario 1, if only that first entry at M gets triggered, the projected return is just over 1%. But if the price dips lower and hits that second entry point, P of C, the system gets a much better average price. And look at that, the projected return more than doubles to 2.17%. This table breaks it all down for you, the profit, the return percentage, and even the annualized return for both possibilities. So that's the complete setup for Phase 1. But what's next? Let's take a look at the system's predefined roadmap for the rest of the journey. This covers Phases 2, 3, and 4. The expected progression is very specific, almost like a checklist. Phase 2 is triggered the moment the price makes contact with that mirror line we talked about earlier. Phase 3 is marked when the price reaches the N-level apex. And finally, Phase 4 signifies the end of the line for this cycle. That happens if and when the price hits the top boundary of the trapezoid. Each phase is just a key milestone along this geometric path. Okay, before we wrap this up, it's really important that we cover a few disclaimers. This provides crucial context for everything we've just looked at. So please, keep these four things in mind. First, this is not financial advice. Second, the model's rules strictly prohibit using leverage above 10. Third, you should never, ever invest essential personal funds. And finally, this entire analysis is for public documentation and verification purposes only. And there you have it, a full visual walkthrough of the market DNA setup for this US100 cycle. If you're curious and you want to see how this cycle and others actually play out over time, you can find more documentation on the website. And hey, be sure to subscribe to see future case studies as they come out. So we'll leave you with a question to think about. What can be observed when market behavior is viewed through a purely geometric lens, completely free from all the conventional indicators we're used to seeing? Thanks for joining us.